and welcome to the path. Not the glorious, sanitized path of noble quests and polished castles, but the one where your knees ache, your stew is mostly water, and you haven't been truly warm in months. Tonight, you're going to sleep, but before you do, I'm taking you back to a year where survival is the only item on your to-do list. Breathe deep. Not because the air smells good, it won tea, but because for the next 2 hours, we're letting go of everything modern. No screens, no clocks, no Wi-Fi, no comfort. Only mud, silence, and the endless ache of another medieval morning. Let's begin. Waking up in 1325, congratulations. You just opened your eyes in the year 1325. You are 23 years old. That makes you middle-aged, maybe even old, depending on how many teeth you still have. You don't know it yet, but half your life might already be behind you. Every morning, your body reminds you of that fact. You're sleeping on what can only be described as a compressed hay pancake wrapped in a vaguely fabric-like sack. It's itchy. It smells like wet sheep, because it was a sheep. Recently, the straw beneath you creaks and groans. It's flattened in the middle where your hip bone dug in all night. There's a lump under your shoulder blade that might be a stone or a piece of last night's dinner. You're not curious enough to check. Your back hurts. Not in the modern, ooh, my posture is bad kind of way. This is more like your spine's trying to escape your body. Every joint you have pops when you move, like someone shaking a bag of walnut shells. Your neck is stiff. Your calves are sore. Even your fingers ache from gripping tools and lifting things that weigh more than you. You're sharing your bed with your spouse, 3 children, and 1 chicken. The chicken is the cleanest one in the bed. You can feel it breathing. It's warmer than your feet. Your youngest child is coughing softly in their sleep. It's been weeks. There's no doctor, no medicine, just prayers whispered to saints whose names you barely remember. You pull the blanket, such as it is, tighter over them. It's more hose than cloth, and the cold seeps in anyway. It's freezing. The fire's gone out during the night, and your home, if we can call it that, is essentially a wood and mud box with a thatched roof and dreams of being a house. The air smells like smoke, mildew, and old wool. There's no insulation. There are no windows, just smoke holes and hope. The darkness is absolute. There's no electricity, no phone screen, not even moonlight through a curtain. Just the vague outline of the rafters above you and the distant rustle of wind against the thatch. You roll out of bed, which is generous wording, because it's more of a slump, and you immediately step onto a dirt floor. Cold, damp, slightly alive. You feel it between your toes. You hope that squish was just mud. In the corner of the room, your wife or husband, depending on who you are tonight, is stirring. You hear the soft grunt of knees resisting motion, the scrape of a pot being nudged into the coals to reheat. Someone's already started moving. That means it's time. There's no alarm clock, no morning routine playlist, just the slow thud of obligation beating in your chest. You take a deep breath. The air is thick, heavy with last night's smoke, lingering sickness, and something unidentifiable that's been stuck in the rafters since last spring. And that's how your day begins, not with sunlight or serenity, but with the soft, wheezing cough of a child, the creak of splintered floorboards, and the eternal weight of survival. Welcome back to the 14th century. You shuffle outside, half asleep, half frozen. There's no morning air in the refreshing sense. This is smoke-stained, frost-bitten atmosphere that greets your skin like punishment. Your breath fogs instantly. You pull your wool tighter. It doesn't help. First task, relief. But there's no outhouse, no wooden seat. Just a familiar patch of earth behind the house where the bush lean away from your shame. Your feet are bare. The mud is stiff with frost. Each step presses dirt into your skin. As you squat, you hear the rustle of a squirrel or maybe a rat. You don't care. You're too tired to be embarrassed. Once done, you wipe with straw. Carefully, methodically, painfully. You return inside. The hearth is being coaxed back to life. A single spark dances up. Smoke chokes the air before it finds the hole in the roof. The fire's warmth is more metaphor than sensation. Breakfast is in progress. A pot clunks as it's lifted. Inside, yesterday's porridge, now congealed, now resurrected with water and hope. It smells edible. Barely. No coffee. No tea. You sip cold water from a wooden bowl, swirling with specks of ash and memory. You rub your eyes. No mirror, no toothbrush. Just your own tongue and finger and spit. It'll have to do. You wipe your hands on your tunic. It's what you wore yesterday. And the day before. You own two. One for now, one for the rare wash days. You haven't had one in 3 weeks. Your shoes? Maybe, if they survived the last walk through the marsh. If not, it's bound straw again. You hope there's enough string. The kids are stirring. One cries. One coughs. You nod to your spouse. No words exchanged. Just that mutual, tired, silent glance of two people keeping a household alive by sheer will. You step out, into the frost, into the muck, and into another day you didn't choose. The sun's not even warm yet. It hovers like a distant, judgmental eye just over the trees, doing its best impersonation of a cold lantern. You've eaten maybe 4 bites of porridge, swallowed with silence, and now your hands are on the same tools your grandfather used, wooden handles worn smooth by generations of back-breaking effort. You step out to the fields. The earth is not ready to be moved. It's stiff, resistant. It clings to itself like it resents your presence. And it does. You raise the hoe. It bites into the soil with a wet crunch. You drag it back, over and over. Your arms already sting. Your back gives a polite protest with each bend, like it's filing a formal complaint. Your job today? Turn earth, pull stones, clear roots, repeat, repeat, repeat. The birds have already stopped singing. You glance over. Your neighbor, Wulf, is hunched so far forward, he's practically parallel to the ground. He hasn't stood straight since Pentecost. You nod. He grunts. That's enough. Occasionally, you find something mildly interesting. A bit of broken pottery, a rusty nail, a snail with more direction than you. You toss it aside. The ground never forgets what you owe it. By mid-morning, the sun is higher, but no kinder. Sweat collects under your tunic. It stings your eyes. There's no breeze. Just still, heavy air and the endless crunch of tools against reluctant soil. Your hands start to blister. Again, they never really heal. You pause only when you have to sip from the lukewarm water skin or stretch your spine enough to delay total collapse. There's no reward, no wage, no you got this. Pep talk. Just the knowledge that if you don't finish, someone else might eat the meal you were counting on. The work is dull, repetitive, and quietly cruel. And somehow, it's still better than what's coming next. The bell doesn't ring. No one calls lunchtime. There's no packed sandwich, no break room. Instead, the sun is high enough to bleed through the trees and scald the back of your neck, which is how you know it's time to stop digging and start chewing. You trudge back toward your hovel. Each step feels like dragging a sack of wet stones. Your knees ache. Your lower back is a molten knot. Your stomach grumbles like distant thunder. The walk home is short, but it feels eternal. Your head throbs from dehydration and smoke inhalation. Your feet, damp from the morning's frost, now pulse with heat and bruises. Inside, the air is thick with the usual trio: smoke, sweat, and something sour you've learned not to investigate. The pot is already bubbling. It's been on since morning. Whatever could be scraped together went in. Onions if you're lucky. Turnips if you're not. A bone or two, boiled long enough to fool the water into thinking it's soup. You crouch down, dip the wooden ladle into the mix, and lift out a gloopy spoonful of pottage. It's gray-brown. Steam curls up. It smells like wet wool and old broth. You sit with your family. The children eat quickly. Their eyes dart like they're used to someone stealing food, because they are. Your spouse hands you a slice of bread that could double as a weapon. You dip it. Wait. Dip it again. It might soften. Eventually, there's no talking. Just chewing, swallowing, and the occasional cough. You eat slowly, not to savor, just to stretch it out. Just to convince your body you're not still starving. A neighbor passes by outside. You hear them call out to their goats. One bleats in protest. For a moment, the silence is broken. Then it returns. The pot is nearly empty. Everyone glances in, doing silent math. Is there enough for later? Should we save it? You scrape the sides. A final spoon. Someone will have to go without tonight. You put your bowl down, rub your hands. They still shake slightly. And then, without needing to be told, you stand. Because the second half of the day won't wait. And the earth is calling you back. The sun, once cold and distant, is now a relentless overseer. Its rays are harsh, not warm. They press down on your shoulders like guilt. The tools you left propped against a tree are exactly where you abandoned them, unmoved by your desperation. You pick up the hoe again, the same one that's been passed down, splintered handle and all. Afternoon labor is a different kind of exhaustion. It's not just your muscles now. It's your spirit, fraying like the hem of your tunic. Every movement feels heavier, every breath more forced. You're not just tired, you're drained. You resume the digging. Or maybe you're pulling weeds, or hauling stones from one pile to another, because someone important said so. It doesn't matter. None of it feels productive. It's all just movement, ritual, survival. A fly buzzes around your head. You swat without thinking. It dodges. You lose. The children nearby are tending to geese or chasing each other with sticks. They laugh. It cuts through the air, strange, foreign. You wonder when you forgot how to make that sound. Sweat beads on your brow and runs down your back. It stings the raw skin of your lower neck, the sunburnt patch where your hide has worn thin. You taste salt and dust every time your tongue runs over your cracked lips. You switch tasks, not for variety, but because your body forces you. Change posture or collapse. You find a new rhythm, stacking thatch for repairs, patching a fence, maybe lifting water for the oxen. Anything to keep the day moving. Time bends. It feels like minutes and hours collide, disintegrate, reform. There's no clock to track your torment, just the growing ache in your spine and the creeping length of your shadow. At one point, you pause and lean on your tool. You stare at nothing. Just trees and sky, and maybe a cloud that looks like a roast you'll never taste. You breathe deep. It catches in your throat. The bell doesn't ring to end your shift. Only the angle of light and the growing hum of crickets tells you evening is coming. And with it, another kind of burden. You think that after a full day of clawing at the land and dragging your body through its demands, there'd be rest. But no, the work doesn't stop. It just changes shape. As the light fades, the shadows stretch long over your yard, casting crooked fingers across your tools and the beaten earth. Your arms tremble when you lift the bucket, your feet are sore, and your shirt sticks to your back like another skin. First, the animals. They haven't eaten yet, and they're louder about their hunger than you ever could be. You open the pen. The pigs grunt, the goat bleats once, indignantly. It's all familiar noise. It surrounds you like a chant, a reminder that you're responsible for more than just yourself. You scoop out what food remains from the sack. Grains barely edible, scraps, wilted greens. They devour it, uncaring of the quality. You envy them. Next, firewood. You check the stack. It's low. It's always low. You trudge to the pile, hands aching as you gather enough logs for the night. Not too many? You'll need some for tomorrow. You stagger back inside. The fire's nearly out again. You feed it kindling, then wood, then breath. It flickers, coughs, then comes back to life. Barely. Then the roof. There's a leak. There's always a leak. And with rain threatening, you grab straw and climb onto the thatch. You patch the hole as best you can, working with numb fingers. It's not elegant, it's survival. Inside, the youngest child has started crying again. The coughing hasn't stopped. Your spouse tries to soothe them, rocking gently. You wish you could help, but there's nothing to offer. No remedy, just touch in time and hope. You take a rag and wipe the soot off a bowl from earlier. It's cracked. Everything is. It doesn't matter. You sit briefly, just by the door. The twilight settles on your shoulders like a second shirt. You watch the village in stillness, other families moving through their own evening rituals. Silent, burdened, human. You feel the ache behind your eyes, but you don't cry. You just breathe, because it's not over. Dinner still waits. And no one else is going to make it. The pot simmers again. Barely. The fire under it hisses and pops. You've used the smallest logs to stretch it, like you're coaxing a miracle out of cinders. You sit close to the hearth, arms crossed, stomach coiled in a hungry knot. Dinner isn't a meal. It's a ritual of disappointment. You ladle out what remains of the midday pottage. It's thicker now. The water has evaporated. What's left clings to the spoon like guilt. Bits of vegetable, scraps of yesterday's crust. A hopeful pinch of herbs, perhaps, if any remain from the summer. Everyone waits. You pour carefully, evenly, measuring more with your eyes than any tool. The smallest bowl goes to the youngest, then the sick one, then the one who worked most, then your spouse, and finally ... you. You stir the crusty layer off the bottom. You chew slowly. You avoid your spouse's eyes. They've already handed part of their share to the smallest child, as usual. You both pretend not to notice. Someone farts. A kid giggles. It cuts the tension for just a second. Outside, the night has fallen completely. Through the open door, you see stars. Cold, brilliant, ancient. You remember the stories. Gods, saints, demons. They seem further away than usual tonight. One of the children coughs again. You count the seconds between. Still shallow, but steady. That's something. You rinse your bowl with the last of the warm water and set it upside down by the hearth. You sit in silence. Your spouse sighs. Not from sadness. Exactly. Just the sound of someone lowering their expectations again. And the fire fades. The room darkens. The day isn't over, but dinner is. And with it goes the last flicker of energy you had. The light is gone now. The fire offers only the faintest glow, ember orange and timid, casting long flickering shadows on the walls. The air grows colder, and so does your resolve. You move with careful, exhausted slowness. First to bar the door, though nothing ever comes knocking. Still, it's a ritual, and rituals are all you have left at this hour. The children are already bundled in the corner, or rather layered like laundry, one atop another under a blanket that smells like 10 winters ago. They twitch, murmur, cough. You try not to look too long, too hard. You'll see the hunger in their faces. Your spouse lies down beside them. No words. Just a slow exhale, as if giving up all at once. You kneel near the hearth. You feed it one last thin stick of wood. It hisses. You pretend it's grateful. The floor is rough, packed dirt, scattered straw. You spread your tunic under your body like a mat. It doesn't help. You lie down anyway. The roof creaks. Something scuttles across the rafters, mouse or spirit. You're too tired to care. The cold starts at your toes, slides up your legs like a creeping fog. You pull your limbs tighter. You bury your face in your arm. You listen. Wind hums through the cracks. The dying fire ticks. The children breathe in shallow bursts. You do not dream of escape. You dream of repetition, of tasks undone, of roofs that still leak, and food that never boils. You dream of tomorrow, because it will come, because it always does. And in this life, that's the scariest part. You're asleep, sort of. It's the kind of sleep where your body collapses before your mind can catch up. Where dreams don't feel like dreams, they feel like warnings. You dream of wolves, of fire, of famine, of waking up to find your children sick, or your roof gone, or your barley rotted. You don't dream in color, you dream in fear. Your dreams are soaked in symbols: black dogs with burning eyes, trees that weep blood, fields of bones where crops should be. You don't know what they mean, but they always end with you waking in the dark, breathing hard, heart thudding like a drum of doom. The cold finds its way under the blanket, into your bones. You curl tighter, pretending you're warm, pretending you're safe. There's a sound outside. You open your eyes. Listen. Nothing. Just your own heartbeat and the wind testing the gaps in your wall. Sometimes you think you hear voices, your ancestors, saints, the spirits of the forest. More likely, it's just the neighbors arguing again, or the cows hallucinating. You shift. Your hip strikes a rock embedded in the floor. You breathe through it. You press your face deeper in the straw. Your lips are dry. Your throat itches. You doze off. Drift. Wake again. Repeat. This is sleep. 1325 edition. Fractured, fearful, and full of things that scratch in the night. Eventually, you fall into a deeper layer, not peaceful, but numb, like sinking into mud. But even there, something watches. You feel it in your gut, in your teeth, in your dreams, until finally the gray comes. A pale shade of morning pushes against your closed eyes. The fire is gone, the frost is back, the wind has returned. And before you've truly rested, it's morning. Again. Your eyes open, not with energy, not with purpose. Just inevitability. The straw beneath you crunches. Your joints mutter their complaints. The fire has died. The cold is back. The sky through the smoke hole is a dismal gray. Not quite dawn. Not quite hope. You sit up slowly, like old wood bending. The baby is already stirring. Your eldest is staring at the ceiling, eyes wide, waiting for someone to declare that the new day has begun. Your spouse hasn't moved yet. You both pretend to still be asleep for just a few more breaths. Then you rise. Because the animals need feeding, the stew needs boiling, the field needs tending. Because nothing happens unless you make it happen again. You light the fire with last night's embers and this morning's last ounce of patience. The water takes too long to boil. The porridge is half rancid. The spoon is sticky. You step outside. The same path. The same mud. The same bent over trees. You know every root, every stone, every patch of grass pretending to be a garden. Neighbors pass. They don't wave. Just nod. You nod back. Because words are too heavy this early, you pick up your tools. They don't feel lighter. Your hands already sting before they start. But you begin, because there is no rest, no reward, no weekend. Just this endless ancient loop of hunger, cold, labor, and prayer. And yet, you keep going, because somehow you must. Because this is life, and no one promised it would be kind. If you made it this far, congratulations. You just survived the day in 1325. And not as a knight, not a lord, not a monk penning elegant manuscripts, but as an ordinary person, a peasant, a villager, a parent, a body that works and aches and hopes. Life in the Middle Ages wasn't noble. It wasn't picturesque. It was bone-deep fatigue wrapped in smoke and silence. This was the reality for millions, living hand to mouth, day to day, never certain what tomorrow might take. But you endured it for an hour, through imagination, through empathy. Now, go stretch your back, drink some clean water, maybe take a hot shower. And the next time your bed creaks or the Wi-Fi lags, maybe, just maybe, you'll remember the cold floor of 1325. Thank you for listening. Sleep well, and dream of softer hay.